This is Zach, and this is a showcase on some of the progress on the Persistent Mechanics project. And I will be showing off today the item editor window, which I've been working on. Now, the way that this works is it's an editor utility, and it works similar to the actor one that I'm setting up for NPCs, but that one, it's definitely a work in progress, and I felt the need to get the item one down before doing the NPC one fully, so we're just going to be showing this one off. And basically, you've got a list of items. This is a list of every item in the game. Of course, this is all test stuff because, of course, all of the items are not in the game yet, but it will be a full list of every item in the game. And you can filter it in accordance with whatever you're looking for. So if you're looking for like a class, you could search just for anything with the category name of weapon or anything that's tagged as a weapon. Potions, you know, consumables, anything that's wearable, etc. Um, in any case, the way that it works is you just go to an item and you can select it. Or if you've selected an item inside of the world space, it will give you a selected item reference. You cannot edit more than one at a time. You can only edit one at a time. And if you select something that's not an item, it tells you you cannot edit this. If you select too many, it'll also tell you that there's too many selected. So let's go ahead and make one. So we'll just go ahead and we will drag a generic item into the world. Now normally you would just create a new item or you would edit the default, um, but you have the ability to name it, the item ID. So video test weapon, and then you can select the item type, which you can only do this once. Once the item type is set and you hit create, you'll never be able to change it again because it creates a blueprint and it goes into a folder, and there's just really no need to ever change an item type just because of how core the functionality is. So you really should never have to change that, so it's not really a big deal. And then you just go ahead and hit create, and it brings up this menu. And I plan on there being a little more a few more features for things like this, which will be like item icon, stuff like that. But for the most part, this is pretty substantial. It tells you what the item type is, that it's read only, can't modify it. You can set the item's maximum condition. You can set how much the item weighs, how much the item stacks to. You can set what the equip type is, what the animation type is, um, whether or not it is a spawned in item, whether or not it's for sale. These primarily are for references, not so much class defaults, but you get the point. And then finally, base value. And that's all of the basic item data. And then there's also status effects, which you can click add, and you can add, and then you can press the little X to get rid of effects. And this is where you would add things like the, enchantments, or, if it's like a potion, this is where you would apply the potion effects and whatnot. Stuff like that. Really cool. You can give the effects tags too. So like if it's harmful, you know, that's something that is a piece of information that um, can be read about that item. And you've got the ability to add models to the item, and they'll appear over here when you set them. So this is a test weapon. And we'll go ahead and and give it a handle. So we will give it a sword handle, and you'll see that you get a little icon over here of the handle. And let's give it a crossguard, but we'll give it, let's say we'll give it this crossguard. And then finally we'll give it we'll give it a spear blade, just to be weird. Hit save, and you can see that it gives us kind of a rudimentary idea as to what it will look like. Of course, this is not what it looks like in game when it's rendered. To see that, we'll have to go to the video test weapon, and we will place the video test weapon in the world space, and you can see that it went ahead and it generated that model for us using the sockets that are predetermined. And also you can see over here, all of that information is correct. Oh, but we forgot to assign materials. So let's get rid of that. And let's go back to that editor window. And we will assign some materials. So the blade will make steel, the crossguard will make steel, and the handle we will make out of test wood. We'll save that, close that, and then we'll go ahead and we'll throw this back into the world space, and you can see that the sword blade, the test weapon blade is now made out of steel, the crossguard is steel, and the handle is test wood. And of course, you know, I want there to be a more sophisticated method for the textures and whatnot in the future, the material data, but you get the idea. The idea is that those materials combined with the weapon style, which is actually what that is called, is the model as far as, where is it, video, we'll have to reopen that widget since when it was last open, it was before we made it. Oh, because we have to save. Duh. There it is. Always got to make sure to save, otherwise it won't show up in the search. So these, as far as when it's applying to weapons, because it filters and it only shows you weapon stuff when you're making a weapon, you have a list of every model possible when you're making like a miscellaneous object. But the reason that it's restricted for weapons to only like weapon model types is because each one of these is a style. And each style associates to data in the game. To be specific, weapon properties. So that would be things like, you know, how sharp they are, how blunt they are, how much damage they'll do, how much sharp damage they'll do on a thrust attack, how much blunt damage they'll do on a thrust attack, you know, what the associated model is for that style, and then, you know, it's got a mapping of, you know, what the material should be with different textures. You can see most of these are really only set up for steel and test wood because, you know, we don't have anything for other materials and textures yet, but, you know, the idea is that it would be compatible with every single material in the item materials list, which is quite extensive. And it's probably going to only get more extensive. The idea is that you'd be able to have different things like, you know, this blade is good at this, and then, you know, this blade is good at this blade is good at this. You know, different blades are better at different things. You know, something like this axe blade, you know, it's pretty good at sharp and blunt, but it's not really good at thrusting. Stuff like that. So the point being is you assign those materials in here, And that's ultimately what determines the damage output. So you don't actually apply damage numbers like in a lot of games and a lot of editors. All of that is just determined based on the style that you select and the material that you select. And I don't plan on changing that. I think that that is a cool way of doing it. Now,